So tomorrow, Hurricane Ben makes landfall in Berkeley. This is apparently the headline that we're getting from the left-wing media. And we will explain to you what exactly is going to happen tomorrow at Berkeley and how you can get standby tickets. They are sold out, but there is talk about a bunch of protesters having taken tickets and then walking out until we have a standby line. I'll explain to you how you can take advantage of that. Plus, I will give you the entire rundown on Hillary Clinton and why the Democrats are now saying that President Trump may actually be Teflon. I'll explain why that might be true and why it might not be true. But before we do any of that, first I want to say thank you to our sponsors over at Helix Sleep. So as I have said before, I am terrible at sleep, or at least I was terrible at sleep up until we got our Helix Sleep mattress. There are a lot of online mattress retailers, and they're popping up these days all with this one-size-fits-all solution, but Helix Sleep has a proprietary algorithm. They look at your weight, how it's distributed across your body. They run it through their algorithm. They ask what sort of mattress you want. Do you want it firm? Do you want it soft? Do you want it to be breathable? Do you want it to absorb heat? And then they send a mattress directly to your door. You pop open the box, and it inflates right before you because it's a foam mattress. It is supremely comfortable. My wife particularly loves it. It's helixsleep.com/Ben. You can take their simple 2 to 3 minute sleep quiz, and they build that custom mattress that is the best thing you've ever slept on. It also allows you to have different settings for one side versus the other. So if my wife wanted to sleep on a different type mattress than I did, they can create a mattress that has two different sides to it. Everyone from GQ to Cosmopolitan to the New York Times talking about Helix Sleep, and there's a reason for it. Your custom mattress arrives directly to the door in a week, and shipping is completely free. Try it for 100 nights, and if you don't like it, or you don't love it, they'll pick it up and they will refund you in full. Right now, go to helixsleep.com/Ben. You get a $50 discount toward your custom mattress. Again, helixsleep.com/Ben. Use that /Ben. You get a $50 discount toward your custom mattress. Again, that's helixsleep.com/Ben. Most comfortable mattress I've slept on. And again, use that /Ben so that they know that we sent you and they understand that their advertising is working well. Okay, so the big story of the day is, of course, Hillary Clinton continuing to make the rounds. Before I get to that, I want to explain how you get tickets to the Berkeley speech. So it is sold out. They sold out all of the tickets in 45 minutes. They had actually closed the other 1,000 seats. We would have sold that out too, probably in the first 45 minutes as well, except that they closed the upper tier at this auditorium, Zellerbach Hall at Berkeley. They closed it because they were afraid that Antifa members were going to infiltrate and actually rip, I guess, the chairs off the floor. I think they're bolted down. They're going to rip the chairs off the floor and then start flinging them down onto the unsuspecting crowd members below, which is just insane. The answer to that, by the way, is more security, not banning 1,000 people from the hall. That's absurd. But in any case, Berkeley does seem to be doing what they should be doing for security. Berkeley City Council today, or last night, passed a vote 6-3 that said that the Berkeley PD are allowed to use pepper spray on violent offenders. Okay, how this is even a question is beyond me, but I guess I am the cause of that, so yay me. It's about time they started using pepper spray on people who get violent. They're rioters. They're not protesters once they start getting violent. Apparently, there had been a 20-year ban in place on using pepper spray against violent protesters because Berkeley is one of the world's dumbest places. So if you want to get standby tickets, then you can go over to the Berkeley College. You can go over to the Berkeley campus tomorrow. For those who reserved a ticket online, you have to pick up your tickets at a time prior to 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, September 14th. Any tickets that are unclaimed by 6:30 p.m. will be forfeited by those who reserve them, and they're setting up a standby line right now. There's a standby line forming at Memorial Stadium box office at the UC Berkeley campus beginning at 5 p.m. Starting at 6:30 p.m., they will start distributing unclaimed or forfeited tickets. Right now, I think there are only about 15 tickets, actually. But if that changes, then be first in line to receive all of those because I have a feeling there might be more than a few unclaimed tickets. I think that there are going to be a lot of people on the left who reserve tickets just to make sure that there are seats that are empty. So if you really want to get in, then go over to Memorial Stadium box office at the UC Berkeley campus beginning at 5 p.m. tomorrow, and I will see you there because it should be a lot of fun. Widely anticipated, a lot of media coverage of this particular speech, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing all of you. So that is exciting stuff. Okay, so Hillary Clinton is doing her own book junket. She will not leave. And this is the worst thing in the world for the Democrats because she was such a deeply unpopular candidate that she really lost the election more than Donald Trump won it. And I say that knowing that Trump may have been the only Republican candidate who could beat her. That's not a rip on Trump. This is just to point out how unpopular Hillary Clinton was. She won fewer votes in Michigan than Donald Trump won fewer votes in Michigan and won the state than George W. Bush won in 2004 in Michigan, and George W. Bush lost the state of Michigan. That doesn't demonstrate a vast Trump movement. It demonstrates everyone dislikes Hillary Clinton. Same thing in Wisconsin. Mitt Romney actually outperformed Donald Trump in Wisconsin in 2012. Mitt Romney lost the state. Trump won the state. Why? No one showed up to vote for this lady. No one showed up to vote for her. So she now comes along, and she is going to give her explanation for why she lost. And naturally, the explanation for why she lost is because everyone is mean to her. It's just the end of the world. Everyone is cruel and mean and vicious. Her book came out yesterday, and apparently it is a heaping pile of garbage. There are amusing parts of it. I will admit, I've read some of the sections of it. I haven't had a chance to pick it up as of yet. It's been a bit of a busy week. And I mean, frankly, if I can somehow put it off to the point where it becomes irrelevant to the news, that'd be great, because I would not want to spend 4 hours reading her book. But she is blaming everyone. I think my favorite part of this book is there's a quote that came out from her book that is just astonishing, where she just completely misses how it is that the Orwell novel 1984, what it was about. So she actually writes this in her book. Attempting to define reality is a core feature of authoritarianism. This is what the Soviets did when they erased political dissidents from historical photos. This is what happens in George Orwell's classic novel 1984, when a torturer holds up 4 fingers and delivers electric shocks until his prisoner sees 5 fingers as ordered. The goal is to make you question logic and reason and to sow mistrust. For Trump, as with so much he does, it's about simple dominance. So she basically says that the big problem with 1984 is that it's supposed to make you distrust, that Trump's shtick is to make you distrust the press and the authorities, just like in 1984, which is not what 1984 is about. That's about why you should not trust the press and the authorities. The entire book is about not trusting the press and the authorities. But Hillary Clinton is nearly as bad at literary analysis, apparently, as she is at things like running for office. Okay, so here is Hillary doing her shtick. She first of all rips the press. She starts off with, it's the press's fault. It's all the press's fault. They were just mean to me. If they hadn't been so cruel, then I would have won this election.
But I don't think the press did their job in this election, with very few exceptions. So the hard questions about what was real and what was realistic and what could happen with the right kind of election outcome were never really joined. And so, you know, I found it frustrating, obviously, because I think I could have defended and lifted up a lot of what I believed we could do. But really, Ezra, when you get 32 minutes in a whole year to cover all policy, how does that work?
Okay, so it's all she wanted to talk policy, but the media were just too mean. Now, what's hysterical about this is that essentially what Hillary Clinton is doing is she's saying the entire 2016 election was, wait for it, fake news, right? She's suggesting that the media didn't do their jobs. The media were all part of this evil conspiracy to stop her. Now, I remember when there was a guy named Donald Trump, and he said this all the time and continues to say it all the time. And the media say, how dare Trump? How dare he insult us this way? But Hillary Clinton says the same thing, and they just sit there and take it. Well, she's probably right. You know, maybe we didn't do our jobs this time. Maybe we should have been more sycophantic. The big problem for Hillary Clinton and the Democrats is that the media were so sycophantic during the primaries, they refused to acknowledge what a bad candidate she was. So by the time she was exposed to the light of day, she just withered in the light of day. If the media had been honest about what a terrible candidate she was early on, the chances that she would have not won the nomination would have been exceedingly low. I mean, the media bias is always to the left. The best example of this today, there's an amazing tweet from a guy named Chris Chaliza over at CNN. Sometimes I think Chris Chaliza does some interesting stuff, but he tweeted something today that's just incredible. Here's what he tweeted, quote, "The Today Show did Ted Cruz porn video and Seattle mayor resignation in its first 10 minutes. Banner day for politicians." Okay, why do I bring this up? Because when he says the Today Show did the Ted Cruz porn video and Seattle mayor resignation, you have to understand what those stories are to understand how biased the media is. Hillary says the media are biased against her and Democrats. Okay, that's insane. The Ted Cruz porn video? No, Ted Cruz was not in a porn video. No, Ted Cruz was not caught watching a porn video. One of his interns liked a porn video on his Twitter account that he doesn't even run. Okay, that's the Ted Cruz porn video story that was worthy of Chris Chaliza's tweet. And what is this Seattle mayor resignation story? That's Democrat Mayor Ed Murray of Seattle, who's a garbage mayor. He had to resign because there was a 5th allegation of child molestation against him. Child molestation, okay? Allegedly molested 5 kids. Okay, and here he is, Ed Murray, resigning. But how is that characterized by Chris Chaliza? As Seattle mayor resignation. Would you get from that he was resigning because of alleged molestation? Is that what you would get from that? If you just read those 2 phrases, Ted Cruz porn video and Seattle mayor resignation, which one of those do you think would actually include a sex scandal? If you just read those 2 phrases. The Cruz one, right? But the Cruz thing's a nothing. The Seattle mayor just had to resign. He was, by the way, an up-and-comer in Democratic circles. There was talk about him running for governor of the state of Washington, Ed Murray. He's, I think, the first openly gay mayor of Seattle. Is $15 minimum wage guy in Seattle, progressive hero. Molested, allegedly, 5 children, 5 underage people. And Chris Chaliza characterizes that as Seattle mayor resignation. But no, we're supposed to believe that Hillary really, she was the one who was treated roughly by the media. Not Republicans, not Trump. It was really Hillary Clinton. Then Hillary said, you know who else is to blame? You know who else is to blame for all of this? I'll tell you. It was James Comey. James Comey was so mean. Here's Hillary Clinton explaining.
I believe, absent Comey, I might have picked up 1 or 2 points among white women. I'll give you the example I use in the book. So before the Comey letter on October 28th, I was 26 points ahead in the Philadelphia suburbs. That could have only happened if I had a big vote from women, Republican women, independent women. A week later, 11 days later, I win the Philadelphia suburbs by 13 points. I needed to win by 18 points to be able to counterbalance the rest of the state. That wasn't just me. That's how Democrats win Pennsylvania in presidential campaigns. It stopped my momentum, and it hurt me, particularly among women. And I have so much anecdotal evidence for this. And now researchers are starting to pull some of this together. You know, all of a sudden the husband turns to the wife. I told you, she's going to be in jail. You don't want to waste your vote. You know, the boyfriend turns to the girlfriend and says, she's going to get locked up. Don't you hear? She's going to get locked up. I mean, all of a sudden, it becomes a very fraught, kind of conflictual experience.
What I love here also
so
is the
statement
from Hillary Clinton here that it's all the evil men who are telling their women, these stupid women. If only the stupid women wouldn't listen to their men. It's their men who are turning them and saying, she's going to be locked up. And the women are going, oh, darling, okay, I guess I won't vote for her anymore. Like, that's how Hillary Clinton actually pictures her own female voters. I can't imagine why this lady lost. I cannot imagine why this deeply unlikable human being lost. Then she says it wasn't just Comey, it was also Russian meddling. So first of all, just to point something out about the Comey thing, yes, James Comey botched this thing all the way through. But if you recall, the botchery started with him not indicting her in the first place, not recommending indictment in the first place, by actively changing the standard of law back in July. Instead of just handing over his recommendation to Loretta Lynch, he did the bidding of Barack Obama, right? He basically was writing her exoneration statement before he even interviewed her. You don't get to complain about James Comey when it's James Comey's fault that you were even running competitively up until the end of the election cycle. It wasn't just Comey, though, and it wasn't just the press. It was also the Russians, the Ruskies, the evil Ruskies. You notice there's one person who's missing in all of these calculations. Her name rhymes with Schmillery Blinton. But here's Hillary Clinton explaining that it was the Ruskies. They wanted to take her out.
Election was how effective the Russians through WikiLeaks were in weaponizing information against me, and how they were getting really good political advice about placement, both geographic and platform, from somebody. And we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But we didn't really see that. That was not clear to us at the time in the campaign. And in retrospect, you know, we saw how, if you analyze Google searches, they were spiking in places that had been sort of swing, had ended up voting for President Obama, but were, you know, subject to being persuaded by the other side. WikiLeaks searches were off the charts. People were trying to understand, and they were trying to make sense of some of the stuff they were hearing on their Facebook, you know, feeds, or a friend telling them.
I love the implication here, by the way, that they were cleverly weaponizing WikiLeaks. Okay, I was there. What WikiLeaks did is they just released giant caches of documents. The idea that they were strategically releasing portions of them in various outlets just is not true. That's not how WikiLeaks worked. They would dump a bunch of documents, and then people like me and my staff would crowdsource them. Okay, that was just stuff that happened during the election cycle, but it was also the Russians. You know, it wasn't the fault of the DNC for not actually protecting their servers. It was the Russians. It wasn't Hillary Clinton's fault in any way. It was that Hillary Clinton was victimized by the Russians. So now here are the people she's blamed: the press, James Comey, the Russians, and now we're about to find out that it was sexism and misogyny. That's really what happened here, is people don't like women, right? It was people don't like women. It wasn't people don't like Hillary Clinton. It's they don't like women in general. Like white women, who, by the way, went for Donald Trump by a pretty wide margin. It's that white women hate women. That's really the problem here.
I was really quite taken aback at the attitude and the behavior of my general election opponent, because he made no bones about it, literally. He was so sexist, and not just about me, but about his Republican woman opponent, his women and reporters on TV and elsewhere. So it was really a part of the atmosphere. And I want not just women, but men as well to know this is endemic. Sexism and misogyny are still endemic. We've made progress, but we can't allow ourselves to go backward. And as I point out in the book, it never was just about me. I happen to have the big bullseye on my head, but it was about women. And in the months since, we've seen reports out of Silicon Valley and other businesses, as well as politics, where distinguished women like Elizabeth Warren or Kamala Harris or Kirsten Gillibrand or others in the media are being treated to a level of overt sexism.
Okay, this is absurd. This is absurd. People don't like Hillary Clinton. It's not they don't like women. That's ridiculous. Okay, Kamala Harris is only being talked about for the presidency because she's a woman. She's been in the Senate for 5 minutes and done nothing. Elizabeth Warren being talked about for president is an absurdity. I know Elizabeth Warren. She's a professor at Harvard Law School, and I was there. Okay, the idea that Elizabeth Warren is being talked about as a presidential candidate is an absurdity. Kirsten Gillibrand. These are absurdities. But the idea that these are being treated, it's that sexism was unlocked in the last election cycle. No, what happened is that people got tired of people like Hillary Clinton labeling them sexist, and they didn't care what Trump had to say anymore. That's what happened here. People had a choice, right? They could either take Trump with, yes, some of his sexism, but at least he wasn't calling them sexists, or they could take Hillary Clinton, who was lecturing them every single day about how they hated women. And that was an easy choice for most people. But no, it's that Americans are sexist. Americans are brutal and sexist. That's the real issue here. I don't remember Hillary Clinton speaking out the same way about any of the various Republican women over the course of her long, illustrious career. I remember her speaking out the same way when she was targeting Juanita Broderick, when she was targeting Kathleen Willey, when she was targeting Monica Lewinsky. I don't remember her speaking out the same way in favor of women, obviously. So I love this revisionist history that it's all about Americans decided they hated women. Just like Ta-Nehisi Coates has said Americans decided they hated black people, Hillary says Americans decided that they hated women. But it's not just that. Hillary also blamed Bernie Sanders, and we'll get to that in just a second. Again, everyone has to be blamed. And the reason this is important, folks, is because I don't think the Democratic Party has actually moved beyond this mentality. I think they are stuck in a rut. I think they're stuck in a place where they basically want a divorce from the American people over this election cycle. I'll explain in just a second. But first, I want to say thank you to our sponsors over at the USCCA. So we hear the stories in the news all the time where a guy's at home and somebody tries to break into his house and he has to shoot them, and then the police wrongly arrest him and he ends up in the court system. We hear this all the time. Well, right now, you need to protect yourself. And you can take a simple, rewarding journey to concealed carry and home defense confidence with the 2017 Concealed Carry and Family Defense Guide. That is the Concealed Carry and Family Defense Guide. It's from the U.S. Concealed Carry Association. It is 100% free. In it, you will learn how to detect attackers before they see you, how to survive a mass shooting, the safest and most dangerous places to sit in a restaurant, how to responsibly own and store a gun, even if you have little kids, and a whole lot more. These are all super practical tips. It is well worth reading. It is 164 pages, so it's pretty comprehensive. It comes with a bonus audio version, so you can even listen in your car. I know you like listening to the podcast. You can listen to this in your car as well. This life-changing guide comes 100% free for a limited time. You also get a bonus home defense checklist. Go to defendmyfamilynow.com right now, defendmyfamilynow.com, and register for 100% free instant access. That's defendmyfamilynow.com, defendmyfamilynow.com. USCCA makes sure that you are protected in case you actually have to pull the trigger and prepares you for the situation in which you may have to pull the trigger and how to best protect yourself. Again, defendmyfamilynow.com right now for 100% free access to their 2017 Concealed Carry and Family Defense Guide. Super cool stuff. Go and check it out, defendmyfamilynow.com. So Hillary also is very upset with Bernie Sanders. So she said yesterday that she beat Bernie Sanders in a landslide. During an interview with NPR, she said she totally rejects that Bernie Sanders was the guy who's supposed to win the nomination. She said, I find this criticism from Sanders supporters to be so off base. He's not even a Democrat. Right, so this is the big problem, is that he's not even a Democrat. She said he and his followers' attacks on me kept getting more and more personal, despite him asking me not to attack him personally. And, I really regret that. But now he's got a chance to prove he's something other than a spoiler. And that is to help other Democrats. I don't know if he will or not, but I'm hoping he will. Right, so there she is attacking Bernie Sanders. Everyone has to be attacked. She attacks voters, too. Right, finally, she ends up attacking voters. This, I think, is probably the best portion of her pathetic book. It's pretty spectacular. Here's what she has to say in her book. She says, since November, more than 24 women of all ages, but mostly in their 20s, had approached me in restaurants, theaters, and stores to apologize for not voting or not doing more to help my campaign. I responded with forced smiles and tight nods. On one occasion, an older woman dragged her adult daughter by the arm to come talk to me and ordered her to apologize for not voting, which she did, head bowed in contrition. I wanted to stare right in her eyes and say, you didn't vote? How could you not vote? You abdicated your responsibility as a citizen at the worst possible time, and now you want me to make you feel better? Of course, I didn't say any of that. These people were looking for absolution that I just couldn't give. We all have to live with the consequences of our decisions. Whoa! Whoa, there's only one word for that. Okay, and it's a 5-letter word, and it's not something I wish to say. I mean, that's really nasty stuff, right? Somebody comes up to you and they say, I wish I had done more, and your first reaction is, you little pissant. If you had done more to serve me, the mistress of all evil, then I would be sitting in the White House right now. It's your fault. You didn't work hard enough. I worked plenty hard. Sure, I took a nap every day. Sure, I collapsed into a van. Sure, I was terrible in debate. Sure, I was mechanical and awful and nasty and called half of Americans deplorables. But it's you. You didn't get out and vote. And I'm not going to provide you absolution. I am like the Pope, and I will never provide you absolution. I will never provide you absolution. Okay, it's no wonder. And then Hillary finally finishes up by saying, listen, I'm not going anywhere. You think I'm going to leave? I'm not leaving. And I am telling you, I'm not going. And she won't leave, right? I mean, she has nothing better to do with her time. What's she going to do, wander around in the woods like Bigfoot? So she's just going to stick around, sinking her claws into whatever Democrat starts to move toward the top, pretending she's helping them, but actually hurting them. Hillary is electoral poison. And much worse than Barack Obama was. And Obama didn't help anyone get elected. Hillary's even worse because at least people liked Obama. Or at least people thought Obama was cool. People think Hillary Clinton is awful. And the more people see of her, the better. So yay, I totally am in favor of Hillary Clinton sticking around. I think it's great. Here she is explaining that she's not going anywhere. She won't go. She just won't. Like Jennifer Holliday in Dreamgirls. Here she is.
There are many people, including some Democrats, who would be happier if Hillary Clinton stayed in the woods. Didn't write this book, didn't reopen the wounds of 2016.
Well, they're going to be disappointed because I think it's important for people with my experience and my insight into what went on in the campaign, but more generally about our country, to speak out.
Clinton says she is done running for office, but she plans to keep speaking up.
Oh, please do. Please do. The thing is that Hillary Clinton, as just a human being, is an incredibly vindictive person. And you can sense the vindictiveness of the Democrats in her. Okay, she's a good avatar for their vindictiveness, that what they really are about is castigation of the other. If they really wanted to win, they'd run somebody like Joe Biden, right? Okay, I don't make a habit of giving advice to Democrats. If you wanted to win, you'd run somebody who didn't spend their time ripping on Americans as a bunch of know-nothing, sexist, bigot, racist, homophobes who wouldn't get out and vote for you because I deserved it. But unfortunately, that's not something that Democrats are doing. I think Sarah Huckabee Sanders actually got this exactly right yesterday. She said, it's kind of sad. It's a little bit sad, right? Here's Sarah Huckabee Sanders doing that.
I think it's pretty clear to all of America. I think it's sad that after Hillary Clinton ran one of the most negative campaigns in history and lost, and the last chapter of her public life is going to be now defined by propping up book sales with false and reckless attacks. And I think that that's a sad way for her to continue.
It is pretty sad. And thank God for the sadness of the Democrats, because otherwise they might actually be competent at this. Now, there's some conflicting information about what Democrats here are going to do. So Politico has a big piece today by a guy named Edward Isaac Dovere, reporting that Democrats are having trouble. They think that Trump may, in fact, be Teflon, that using Trump as sort of the rallying point for their crowd is not going to do it. Here's what he has to say. He says, data from a range of focus groups and internal polls in swing states paint a different picture for the Democratic Party heading into the 2018 midterms and 2020 presidential election. It suggests Democrats are naive if they believe Trump's historically low approval numbers mean a landslide is coming. So what's the big problem? Well, there are a bunch. First off, Bernie Sanders' economic program is not convincing to people. So today, it came out that a bunch of Democrats, I've written about this and talked about it yesterday, a bunch of Democrats, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Gillibrand will soon jump on board, all of the Cory Booker, all of the front-running 2020 Democratic candidates are talking about embracing Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All plan. Okay, this is really stupid strategy. For a general election, it's really dumb. People do not trust the idea of a government takeover of the healthcare system. They didn't like Obamacare. And so the Democrats are actually